In recent years, the world has entered a period of increasing geopolitical instability. Major conflicts are erupting across different regions.
In Iran, we see where the path of a violent and unaccountable ideology leads.
From the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine to the rapidly intensifying conflict between the United States and Iran, many are beginning to ask the same unsettling question. Are these merely political conflicts? Or are they signs of something much larger unfolding? The Bible speaks repeatedly of a time when the world would experience increasing turmoil. So let's explore all of this to see if we're in that time. Stick around to the very end, as I promise it will be worth your time and attention. The brief history of the US and Iran War. This modern animosity traces back to the 1917 revolution, which replaced the US-backed Shah with a theocratic regime under Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. This led to the Iran hostage crisis, where 52 Americans were held for 444 days, an event that permanently severed diplomatic ties. After several contentious engagements and political threats from both countries over the decades, a temporary reprieve occurred in 2015 with the signing of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. In this deal, Iran accepted strict nuclear limits in exchange for sanction reliefs. However, this agreement was very short-lived.
I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
In May 2018, the Trump administration unilaterally withdrew the US from the nuclear deal, instead opting to initiate a maximum pressure campaign. Therefore, sanctions slammed back onto Iranian banks, factories, and families, thereby crippling the nation's economy. Then, on January 3, 2020, a US drone strike killed the commander of the IRGC Quds Force. Because of this, Iran retaliated with ballistic missile strikes on US bases in Iraq. And finally, on February 28, 2026, the world watched as the first salvo of this operation ripped across the Persian Gulf. Missiles arced like vengeful comments towards Iran, thereby killing the nation's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, in the process.
They came out in their thousands, dressed in black, weeping and holding portraits of the late Ali Khamenei.
The brief history of the Russian-Ukraine war. On February 24, 2022, the world watched in disbelief as Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. This was the biggest European invasion since World War II. President Vladimir Putin sought to denazify and demilitarize Ukraine by initiating a prolonged assault from the north, south, and east that targeted major urban centers. The plan was to overwhelm and to topple the Ukrainian government before the world could muster a coordinated response. By the time the fighting settled into a grinding stalemate, the geography of eastern Ukraine had been written into concrete and fire. The landscape is now a graveyard of pulverized cities, while over 15,000 civilians have been confirmed, but and a quarter of the pre-war Ukraine population remains displaced, seeking refuge in neighboring cities or in makeshift camps.
We don't have electricity or anything to eat. There's no medicine. We've got nothing left.
Now that I've given you a brief overview of the wars as well as their severity, let's see how this all is connected to Bible prophecy. We're going to break this down in two ways, so don't click off yet because this is where the video begins to get very, very interesting. Deep in the book of Ezekiel, the prophet foretells a time when a massive alliance of nations would come against Israel. Now, you're not going to find the words Russia or Iran anywhere in the Bible, as the prophet wrote this 2,600 years ago. So he really just used the tribal names of the people who lived in those regions at the time. Take Persia, for example. That's just the ancient name for modern-day Iran before it was officially named Iran in 1935. As for the land of Magog, the first century historian Josephus identified the residents of that land as the Shitnans, a fierce nomadic group that occupied what is now known as modern-day Russia or Central Asia. The next thing, the Russian and Iran partnership. For centuries, Russia and Iran were rivals. Now they're friends, allies. In 2025, Vladimir Putin and Iran's leadership signed a 20-year strategic partnership, formalizing military cooperation and intelligence sharing. During the Russian-Ukraine war, Iran supplied Russia with Shahed drones, key weapons in Russia's war of attrition. In return, Russia has provided Iran with advanced defense systems and fighter jets. This partnership between the two once arch enemies was all foretold by Ezekiel. Now, let's connect the dots here. The 2020 killing of Soleimani and the 2026 death of Ali Khamenei have pushed Iran into a corner where they have no choice but to rely on Russian military protection. Now let's flip to Russia's side real quick. Years of grinding war into Ukraine have pretty much left them exhausted, economically drained, militarily stretched. They desperately need a win, something to reassert themselves as a global power, and their last foothold for that, the Middle East. This sets the exact stage for Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 4. Right now, these global wars are quietly reshaping the entire world system. As economies take hit after hit, the Bible describes a moment when people overwhelmed by chaos begin calling for peace and safety, opening the door for stronger global control. So the convergence of the Russian-Ukraine war and the US-Iran conflict suggests that the time of the Gentiles may be reaching their fullness. For those watching these events through the lens of scripture, the smoke of these modern battlefields serves as a signal that the return of Jesus Christ is closer than it has ever been before. To draw closer to him now, not when things get worse, not when the next crisis breaks, but now, because the same Jesus who stretched out his hand and caught Peter before he went under is the same Jesus who's reaching towards you in the middle of this moment in history. So please, open the door while he still knocks before it's too late. If you like this video, please like, share, and comment down below your thoughts so that this video can reach more people, I can make better videos, and it can be used to share the gospel better. Alright, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.